Hello everyone. Welcome back to Curious Click. Today we're diving into one of the most long-standing and complicated conflicts in the world, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Spanning over a century, this struggle has shaped the political landscape of the Middle East and continues to dominate international headlines. In this video, we'll walk through the historical roots, key events, causes, and the current state of affairs. By the end, you'll have a clearer understanding of this deeply rooted conflict. The origins of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict can be traced back to the 19th century, during a time when the Middle East was under the control of the Great Ottoman Empire. Back at the time of the Ottoman, the land of Palestine was a multi-ethnic region, as it was the home to the Arabs, the Jews, and to the Christians also. All these cultures had one thing in common: Palestine's Jerusalem as their holy land of worship. But eventually the rise of two parallel nationalist movements, the Jewish Zionism and the Arab nationalism, set the stage for all the future conflicts. By the late 19th century, Europe witnessed the rising popularity of Zionism, a political movement advocating for the return of Jews to their ancestral homeland. The founder of modern Zionism, Theodor Herzl, envisioned a Jewish state as a refuge for Jews facing persecution in Europe, especially amid rising anti-Semitism, while Europe was dealing with Hitler and his Nazi army. But there was a problem. The land they sought was already home to a large Arab population, which would later form the basis of modern Palestinian identity. At the same time, Arab nationalism was on the rise, with Arabs in Palestine seeing themselves as part of the larger Arab community in the Middle East. Number speaks. However, many Palestinian Arabs were concerned that the influx of Jewish immigrants from Europe would lead to the displacement of their own communities, as they could be outnumbered. While these all happened, tensions mounted as both Zionists and nationalists groups claimed the same land for them. All these problems escalated at the time of World War I. The Middle East was then controlled by the Ottoman Empire. As the war ended, the empire collapsed, and the victorious Allied powers carved up the Ottoman territories for themselves. After the war, Britain took control of Palestine under a mandate from the League of Nations. So hence British took steps to solve the Arab-Jew conflict in Palestine. The Balfour Declaration of 1917, a famous movement issued by the British government, supported the establishment of a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine, which further fueled Arab fears of being displaced. But at the same time, Britain had also made conflicting promises to the Arabs in those regions, who had been told that they would gain independence for their help in defeating the Ottomans. By early 1920s, Jews started migrating back to Palestine to settle, as they considered it as their homeland. The British also supported this, with the goal of establishing a Jewish homeland while also protecting the rights of the local Arab population. And as a result, Jewish immigration surged from early 1920s to 1930s. Majority of the immigrant Jews were people leaving from Germany or saved from Nazi camps and other European states, and the emigration reached in count of lakhs. The Arabs, who was opposing these immigrations from beginning, started feeling the heat. By late 1930s, Palestine's settlement comprised majority of Jews. At this point, Arab-Jewish tensions reached a boiling point, where brawls, small fights, and violence was frequent between Jewish and Arab groups, often exacerbated by British policies that failed to satisfy either side. Palestinian Arabs felt increasingly marginalized as more and more Jewish immigrants arrived. Jewish groups at the meanwhile were determined to build a state of their own. By the end of World War II in 1945, and the horrors of the Holocaust, the demand for a Jewish state became more urgent and utmost important. In 1947, the newly formed United Nations proposed a partition plan, dividing Palestine into separate Jewish and Arab states, with Jerusalem as an international city. While the Jewish leadership accepted the plan, Palestinian Arab leaders and surrounding Arab states rejected it, believing it to be unfair, by citing that it was unjust to give away more than half of the Palestinian land to a Jewish minority. This laid the foundation for the first major conflict, the Arab-Israeli War.